A little under a year ago, millions of Americans were traveling. Anybody remembers what that was? Little less than a year ago.
Hawaii, like there was something that happened in Hawaii with like a volcano.
It could be that also. I just don't remember. Millions of people. Erev Rosh Chodesh Nisan, there was something very fascinating. There was an eclipse, but not just an eclipse. This Erev Rosh Chodesh Nisan is going to be an eclipse also, that the sun is going to be covered a little bit. But last year, the Chiddush was, in a big part of America, the sun for about a couple of minutes was covered completely. The path of totality. Millions of Americans were traveling to go see it, and myself included. My kids wanted to go. Blame it on my kids. I was happy to go. I took my kids. I told my wife we're leaving. It was 3:30 in the afternoon. I told my wife I'm going to get up 4 a.m. I want to daven Shacharis, go 4 hours north. I want to beat the traffic. So my wife said, you're going to travel 4 hours, go the night before. So it became a whole road trip with my kids. I'm forever grateful I did it. Even though the way back took me 9 hours instead of 4 hours, it was still worth it. Anyways, traveling to watch it, it was just an amazing. We got there at night, and then we went to a different location in Vermont, another hour away, to watch how the sun was covered, 100% covered, and it became dark. 3:30 in the afternoon, it became dark. I remember we were there, a lot of people were there watching, and telescopes, and just the amazement, the unbelievable Mara, the sight to see was unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's hard to explain it with camera, with video, with pictures. It was just something unbelievable. I remember the next morning, so I got back at 1, 2 in the morning, the next morning saying, Yoitzer Oyer. We say a bracha. We said this morning, Hashem creates light, uvoyer choshech, and darkness. I was able to touch the words, Yoitzer Oyer uvoyer choshech, to understand, to really, it had a meaning. The truth is that the Ramban says that throughout these parshas now, Makkahs, could you imagine each Makkah for itself was something unbelievable to see. If you would hear that there's a country that's full of frogs, it's the most amazing thing. 10 Makkahs, Yitzias Mitzrayim, the Nisim of Yitzias Mitzrayim, the Nisim of Kriyas Yamsef, in the Midbar what happened, all the Nisim that happened, unbelievable, unbelievable. Says the Ramban that these Nisim are supposed to be a stepping stool to everything that happens around us. Like with the eclipse that I traveled, that's supposed to really be a stepping stool to everything around us, that the sun comes up every morning. That's also an amazing thing. B'toich nisim niglim, anything, a nest that happens is supposed to tell us that even something that's not a nest, something that's the ordinary, is also from Hashem. But the way he calls it is also Matoich Nisim Niglam Atamoida. You say thank you to Hashem on Nisim Nistarim. Meaning to say is even something that's normal is also a nes. Now, how do you relate to such a thing? How do you relate? The sun comes up. Isn't that's natural? That's the teva that the sun comes up. What's the nes about it? To illustrate this concept, how everything is a nes, I want to share with you all a Chassam Sofer. The Chassam Sofer lived a little over 200 years ago, and the Chassam Sofer put out Svarim on all of Torah. He was the Poisek Ador. He was everybody. The Chassam Sofer was the Gadol Ador of his times, and the Chassam Sofer brings out a point. I never even thought of it. It's so interesting. When we went out of Mitzrayim, one of the nisim that we had for 40 years was that the mon fell. For 40 years the mon fell. It could be after a few years it became normal. But I want to tell you something more. The kids that were born in the Midbar, they thought that was normal. It was normal for them that's how the food comes about. And you know what was not normal? When they came into Eretz Yisrael and the mon stopped falling and food was growing from a tree, that's the most unique, interesting idea. Says the Chassam Sofer, we look out For us, it's normal. It rains, it's windy, it snows. But then you have somebody that he lives in Yerushalayim, he never sees snow. He came to New York for a wedding, and then there's a snowstorm of a half a foot. It's the most amazing, interesting thing to see. Says the Ramban, "B'toich nisim niglim," at the moide you could see, you could thank Hashem for the nisim nestarim. All of us have different moments in our life that there's something special that happens to us, something beautiful, something unique. And that's supposed to be a stepping stool to tell us, to teach us, to help us for anything that goes on, even your regular day-to-day. Person's healthy, he should be grateful. There's so much to be grateful for. Even just, I'm thinking right now, to be grateful, Rabbi Katz, the program director, puts together such a beautiful trip, so much inspiration, going to this place, going to the Scheiner Center, just non-stop inspiration. All these things, some things could seem pretty normal, but to look at what we could be grateful for, The bracha to all of us, including myself, is that we should live a life to be able to not just focus on the positive, but like what the Ramban says, "Matech nisim niglim," the different nisim that the Eibishter gave us throughout the generations, those nisim, we should be able to tap in also nisim nestarim, things that happen regularly. Hanukkah, we're almost already into the loop of Purim. But one of the most famous terutzim on the question why these 8 days of Hanukkah, there should be 7 days because one day we anyways had the oil. The famous teretz is that Teva is also a nes. Teva is also a nes. This that the oil burns is also a nes. If we could utilize looking around such a beautiful world, Rabbi Victor Miller, you see Baruch Hashem, they put out the papers. Does it make it to you, the papers?
It says on the paper we get it, but I haven't seen it.
Maybe they meant by email, somebody gets it in an email. But if he took the time, Victor Miller took the time to appreciate ear, to appreciate a red apple. Nisim niglim, we could look around and we could appreciate. There's so much Yiddishkeit teaches us to appreciate our appearance, to appreciate the mitzvah of kibbur avim, to appreciate avakar satayv. We should utilize, and Eibusha should help us. We should be able to use this lesson throughout our life. Thank you very much for coming. Welcome to Beis Medrash Har Chaim.
Famous story with Rabbi Miller, his head submerged in water and pray.
Beautiful, beautiful to bring out. We live, the ear, it's normal, we're breathing. Nebuch, if somebody walks into a hospital, you see, someone's hooked up to oxygen, you see it's not so simple. It's teva, but technisim niglim, we could appreciate breathing healthy, a person could walk, a person could talk. Shayatzar, yeah, very good, very good. Beautiful example, Ashayatzar. We go to the bathroom multiple times. Of course, we say the bracha, we say the blessing, but if a person stops for a minute to understand, to appreciate, people have babies. My grandmother used to say, but he was a doctor that delivered many, many babies, and he said he never, ever forgets that it's an absolute miracle every time a baby is born. So, nisim niglim, every single time, a person can appreciate everything that goes on. That's